Hi guys, today we're going to talk about culture. And to be honest, the subject of culture is super complex. I think this is because when we tend to classify culture, we tend to look at it as a static force and we don't tend to consider the scale of culture. The purpose of this video is to provide a clear definition of culture and to break it down into two kinds of classifications: material versus non-material and folk versus popular culture. My hope is that this will lessen the complexity of the topic within the unit. The word culture refers to the things that we care for. The root word cultus, a Latin word, means to care and is the basis of the word agriculture. The word is associated with agriculture, which refers to the caring for the earth in ways that provide us with food to eat. Therefore, the word culture actually means the things that we care for. When we think about culture, we tend to think about both the material culture, or that is the things we can touch, feel, see, and use, and the non-material culture, or that which is invisible but still very real, such as religion, language, or values. Often, material culture of a group of people is a reflection of much more than just an item to be consumed. For instance, computers may represent middle-class wealth and the accessibility to the knowledge of the internet. It can represent our values to access information. It can be a representation of our free speech through social media and can keep us connected to our communities and our country as a whole. Non-material culture is often the way we define ourselves, both in terms of individual as well as societal identity. We tend to care even more about these things than we do about our material culture. For example, when Volkswagen reported false numbers regarding fuel efficiency in their vehicles a little over a year ago, no one in the general populace really cared, even though it was kind of a big deal. But then Colin Kaepernick takes a knee during the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem, and we are still talking about it today. Both material and non-material culture helps us to distinguish us from other human beings in other regions of the world. And both of these kinds of culture can be influenced in many ways, including geography and climate. Further, culture can be studied at different scales. In Aiken County, which is where I teach, my school is less than 15 minutes away from its rival school, but because of demographic, ethnic, and historic differences, the culture of my school's community is quite distinct from our rival school. My home state of South Carolina can also be studied as a region with a distinct barbecue culture, which might distinguish it from other regions of the earth. Still, the United States South as a whole is seen as a perceptual region, that is, an individually defined region based on the cultural traits or customs associated with the South. And finally, whole continents can be organized into cultural realms, or whole regions with generic cultural traits that can more or less be applied to the vast majority of the region as a whole. Honestly, the study of culture can be incredibly broad or super specific, making it a really hard subject to study. In addition to classifying culture as material or non-material, geographers also tend to classify culture as folk or popular culture. Folk culture is defined as culture that is practiced by a distinct, usually isolated group of people that are basically all the same or homogeneous. Folk cultural groups are of the same ethnicity, the same religion, they speak the same language, they struggle to preserve their way of life, which is usually linked to their economy and or survival. They tend to live in rural areas or are isolated from cultural interference. The Amish are a great example of people that follow these exact same characteristics. The Amish value the protection of their culture so much that they prohibit certain interactions with other people on the outside, and they prohibit tools, toys, and entertainment that distract them from who they are as a cultural group. Specifically, they are strict Protestant Christians and see many of the luxuries and forms of entertainment of the mainstream America as sinful and a threat to their way of life. The Amish even have their own language, a dialect of German known as Pennsylvania Dutch. Popular culture, on the other hand, is a stark contrast to folk culture. Popular culture is designed to spread far and wide, thus is popular. Popular culture also comes from the Latin root word meaning people, and today we refer to something as popular if it has the approval of large sums of people. Popular culture appeals to large, heterogeneous groups of people, such as a whole country of people or even a whole region of the world spanning continents. The practitioners of popular culture are of every ethnicity, every religion, every language. Popular culture doesn't attempt to appeal to any one kind of person, so therefore must have something in common with just about everyone. A perfect example of popular culture is blue jeans. They have come in all shapes and sizes, and different variations of color and pattern can make them appealing to the masses, both young and old. If you live in America, and for that matter most of the developed world, you probably have a pair or two of blue jeans. Even still, music, movies, and video games demonstrate these exact same concepts. Probably the single best way to differentiate between the two is to look at the intended purposes of them. The Amish practice their way of life because it is defined by their values and their religion, but popular culture is designed to be bought and sold. Folk music gives us insight as to the life, the history, the legends, and the hardships of indigenous peoples. But Taylor Swift's music is made to appeal to us through the sale of her albums, the digital music that she sells, and her concerts. Indigenous sports, rituals, and games represent the coming of age or the process by which they pay homage to the earth. But soccer and football appeals to us through television, education, and other forms of popular culture, like video games and music. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, culture is incredibly complex. Some popular culture is more popular than others. When we discuss local culture, it doesn't have to mean the same thing as folk culture. Hockey isn't cool here in South Carolina. Our Academy Sports Store doesn't even sell lacrosse items because no one buys them here in this area. There's no lacrosse anywhere around. But golf is a big deal in this area because I live just outside of Augusta, Georgia. Local culture can be an expression of a particular place and its people, but it is often also a form of popular culture. So, I hope you are feeling a little bit more confident in your study of culture and human geography. If this video helped you to better understand these concepts, give it a thumbs up and like it and share it with your friends. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, students.